I'm still blown away with the things you can 3D print. Believe it or not, 3D printing's not just about printing knickknacks and toys and stuff. You can actually do things that are practical. Stuff that actually solves problems in your house or wherever. If you go outside, I don't really go outside, so it's in my house. Now with that said, I'm still printing unpractical things all the time. There's actually one problem that I just solved today that I'm going to share with you. Keep in mind what I'm about to show you isn't final. I still have to switch some stuff around, but I want to show you the problem I just solved with 3D printing. I recently just got a new camera, finally, after years of debating if I would. If you've seen my content, I usually do some talking headshots, but I move around with my camera, and this is just everywhere. I now record to an SSD, like solid state drive, and with this being here, it's kind of like very inconvenient. When I want to export the footage, I don't want to have to take my camera and set it next to my computer to plug it in. And this thing that I ordered was like, it was almost like $35 just for this bracket. And again, it is not convenient to like take out of here. After looking around my camera, there's only one location that this would fit, but I don't have the hardware for it. This is a V-slot battery on a small rig cage, and there's 2 screw holes right here. First thought, I could screw this to that bracket, but unfortunately there wasn't enough space in behind, and it's still inconvenient to pull that SSD out to plug into my computer. It's a whole thing. I removed the actual bracket, used some calipers to take some basic measurements. For this, I'm using a basic online free CAD software called Tinkercad, which anybody can use. It's very simplistic, and yeah. I'm not giving you a full tutorial, but this is just kind of like the idea. Put down a cube, resize it, which I then use the measurements of the SSD to make a dummy. The only slightly difficult thing about this process is coming up with a solution to the problem that you're trying to solve. For this, I wasn't worried about the actual SSD really slipping out of it, but I made sure that the tolerances were tight enough that it would be a snug fit. Utilizing the previous model that I had, I made a key to like cut out of another cube. One thing that I had to factor in was the actual screws I planned on using to mount this to the camera. The other thing I had to factor in was the actual placement of the actual screw holes and the distance in between the actual screws themselves. To figure out the spacing, what you would want to do is actually measure the actual distance of the screw holes, measure the actual screw diameter, find the center of the screw itself, and then I'll take those away from the outer measurements, which is way too much to do. I'm using Tinkercad. To simplify the whole entire process, I decided to go with a actual channel, which the screws themselves will actually recess into. This will make sure that I can actually have this perfectly aligned, like I said before. After testing the prototype and seeing that it actually functioned, I was thinking about refining this and making it a little bit cleaner, nicer, less blocky looking. But honestly, it works, and it works really well. I loaded up some PACF, which is carbon fiber filament, which looks beautiful. Now I just need to remove the supports and put it all into place and show you how it looks. Before I screw it in though, look how beautiful this carbon fiber is. This is a better demonstration to why I put these channels, so I could actually make sure it was perfectly aligned. Instead of pulling out a calculator and trying to make everything super specific. Work smarter, not harder, right? Now that it's all installed, I can slide the SSD in, which, like I said, has a bit of a snug fit. I can then move this V-slot battery back up and plug in the SSD. I do have a right angle cord coming in. This is temporary. This is just another reason why 3D printing is amazing, because you can solve little issues like this for a fraction of the cost. Instead of mindlessly buying components thinking it's going to solve the problem first. If you like seeing me solve problems instead of just these little things in the background, I do it a lot. It's just I don't make content on it. Let me know in the comments below. If you're new here and this interests you, make sure you're following.